Now, in today's session, we are seeing the continuation of the risk on momentum. And if you consider the case of USD JPY, it increasingly looks like that this momentum, which has brought it above 105, is likely to sustain in next couple of sessions as well. And I think it is possible that we will see the USD JPY rallying even beyond 106 in coming sessions. So in today's session of market movers, we will see if there are any emerging opportunities for us to get involved on the trading side of this equation. If you consider the broader trading context for the day, the equity segment is also seeing buying, and most of the equity indices are also flat to some extent are on the positive side. I think the exception being the Nasdaq, which also booked losses in yesterday's session, and that is understandable given the fact that tech sector was rallying higher because of the obvious benefit it is getting because of the people's need to work from home and maintain social distance. But as the coronavirus vaccine results uh, right now, these are preliminary, but still, the Pfizer vaccine's positive news has given hope, and we saw that playing out in yesterday's session. And today, it's you can say the continuation of that theme. On the data docket, earlier in the day, we got the CPI numbers for China, and here, unexpectedly, the China's inflation has cooled to 0.5% in terms of year on year, which is a lot lower than the expected reading of around 0.8%. Later in the day, we also got the employment data for the United Kingdom for the quarter ended September 2020. And here, the job losses in United Kingdom's economy were a lot higher than the even prior estimates. And as a result of that, the unemployment rate has risen to 4.8% for the third quarter of 2020. At the same time, the job losses also amounted to more than 1,64,000. So that is going to put a lot of pressure on the UK's government as well as central bank to try to avoid the economic meltdown. Later and after a while, we also got the ZW's Economic Sentiment Index for the Euro area and Germany, and both these readings are pointing to the deterioration of the economic sentiments in the European economies. And if we see the Euro area's reading, it has now declined to 32.8 from the prior reading of 52.3, and for the Germany, it has shown substantial decline there also. So you can say that this economic sentiments going down is directly related to the recent rise in the coronavirus cases in the European Union, and that is causing the people's expectations of the economic recovery to nosedive, and we are seeing that playing out in these numbers. Now let's shift our attention to the technical aspect of the instruments under consideration. First, we will consider the USD JPY, and then we will also see how things are shaping up for the US equity index of Nasdaq. Let's start with the USD JPY's technical outlook. This is the daily time frame chart, and here this turnaround after getting close to the 103 has been phenomenal for the USD JPY, and in yesterday's session it clocked more than 200 pips worth of gains, and those gains are even being sustained in today's session. Of course, we had this minor correction, but now even those losses are being recovered, and we are pretty much seeing that the USD JPY is getting closer to the yesterday's closing level. Of course, we have this strong resistance coming into play around this 105.50, and if we consider the prior formation, it has been of the lower highs, and subsequent highs have been lower than for quite a while now, almost 4 to 5 months. But on the lower side, we saw that it has been finding good buying momentum closer to the 104 zone. This time around, it did break below those levels, but then this sudden recovery, this substantial momentum on the upper side is now making it look like that we might finally see this formation giving way, and the upward momentum is also being backed by the fundamental changes, fundamental developments which are likely to carry forward this momentum. And as a result of that, I am fairly optimistic of the USD JPY possible move towards this immediate swing high and even beyond that. So that is the theme which we are going to explore in today's session, and I will try to figure out if there are any optimum entry and exit points to take advantage of this changing situation. So here we will have to utilize this central pivot point of this month's pivot point series as our crucial marker. Anything above it and we can be fairly confident of the continued bullish momentum in USD JPY, and I think as the things stand given this substantial move, we can be optimistic, but we have to be careful at the same time that we might see extended consolidation closer to these highs. And as I said, it is also possible that given the fact USD JPY is trading closer to the resistance zone, and that might cap the further upside in next couple of sessions. But the broader theme is on the bullish side, and as long as the near term support stands, we will be looking at getting involved on the long side. And I think we will have to rely on this central pivot point, which has already provided good support in today's session, and we saw this recovery happening after the price got closer to that zone. And now, if we see the regression curve, it has also opened up the possibility of further flattening as the price action has moved even beyond this upper band, and that is going to put pressure on the regression curve, this downward bend, and we will see it flatten, and then gradually in due course of time, if the price action sustains, we will see it again shifting the stance on the upper side. So we will have to here rely on this SMA formation, and we have this strong robust support coming in around this confluence zone of three SMS, the 50, 100 and 200 SMS. But as the things stand, we are almost like 100 pips away from that support area, and that is one thing we will have to be quite mindful of. And as I said, also on the 4 hourly chart, we saw the central pivot point, which is there around this immediate swing low around 104.8. So what I feel is that we should allow this 50 SMA to catch up with the price action, and maybe in a session or two it will get closer to these 104.8 zone, and as long as the price action sustains itself above this 50 SMA, we can be confident of getting involved for the buy side trade, with risk reward ratio also being in our favor, as we can utilize this 100 SMA zone to act as the near term marker, and we can put our stop losses just little below that. And if things stand well, we will indeed be getting benefited from this bullish momentum which we are seeing in the USD JPY, and the ultimate support can be considered this 200 SMA, and as long as the price action is above it, I would say that it will be beneficial for us to stay on the long side, stay on the bullish side of the momentum in USD JPY. Now let's see what's happening in the Nasdaq, which is trading contrary to the broader equity sentiments. And the results, as I said, are fairly obvious. And as a result of that, the Nasdaq is likely to remain under pressure. And here we will be looking for the shorting opportunity emerging out of these changing equations in the Nasdaq. If we see the formation on the daily time frame chart, it increasingly looks like the head and shoulder, of course the both the shoulders being higher than the head. So technically speaking, the formation is not really perfect, but what we can see is that on the higher side, in the price band around 12,200 to 12,400, it has found substantial resistance zone, and that might even be a function of the steep valuations, and people will be keen to book profits after this phenomenal run which we have already experienced in the Nasdaq. And as a result of that, if the Nasdaq even corrects towards this immediate support zone around 11,000, that shouldn't really be surprising, and even on those levels it will be fairly valued, even to some extent on the expensive side. So from that perspective, I think it will be better for us to look for some shorting opportunities because of this overbought nature of the Nasdaq's formation on the daily time frame chart. And of course, we have to be careful as the volatility is lot higher. It has increased, and as a result of that, our stop losses and target prices are also going to be wider. And to compensate for the increased risk, we will have to reduce the lot size to make sure that the losses are not too much in case our anticipation turns out wrong. So I think in today's session we will have to rely on this immediate resistance zone, which was broken in the prior leg of this upward rally, but now it has given way, and in near term it is likely to act as the resistance. It is likely to cap the Nasdaq's upward momentum here, and in due course of time I am expecting the Nasdaq to decline toward the central pivot point, which is just little above 11,400 levels. And as you can see from this regression curve, this extended correction and then these steep moves, both first on the upside and then equally sharp move on the lower side, is now forcing the regression curve to flatten, and even it has started gradually to bend on the lower side. And as you can see, the price action is also dipping below this middle line. So we will have further confirmation moving ahead, and we will be in a position to go for the short sale trades as long as the this resistance is respected, and we if we get any opportunity for the trade, I think the first thing we will have to make sure is of the optimum entry point. And if we want to figure out the optimum entry point to make sure that our risk is contained, we will have to rely on this immediate price action and then the confluence zone for the 50 and 100 SMA. So here we have the resistance formation taking shape around 11,900 to 12,000 levels, and as the price action has nosedived below this 100 SMA, I am expecting the 50 SMA to cross below 100 SMA in next couple of hours, or maybe it might take more than that, but it is likely to cross below this 100 SMA, and then that will be added confirmation for our tilt on the lower side. And this prior swing low is also likely to act as the near term resistance zone. Along with that, we also have the first resistance of this month's pivot point series around 11,900. So all these factors make the 11,900 to 12,000 uh, key level to watch out for, and as long as the price action below it, we can be confident of going in for the short sale trade. So if we are fortunate enough in today's session, and if we get some sort of correction from the current levels and then do consolidation, we can indeed think about going in for the fresh short sale, or maybe we will have to wait a day or two to make sure that there is enough of consolidation, and then whenever we see that on the shorter term there is a possibility of break out on the bearish side, we can get involved at that point in time, as long as the price is well below this resistance zone. And on the lower side, we can expect the Nasdaq to drop even below this 200 SMA, which is there around 11,600, and in due course of time, it might even drop lower towards the prior swing low. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. Have a fabulous day ahead. Thank you for joining in. Don't forget to subscribe to the Ducoscopy YouTube channel. Goodbye.